Welcome to Ask Dr. Melinda, Aging Gracefully and Strong, bringing you cutting edge trends in holistic and integrative medicine. Today, I have a special guest with me, Scott Rickett. We are going to talk about, he is a wine connoisseur, and he has developed a very delicious non alcoholic wine with CBD. So, today we're going to talk about CBD and wine. So, Scott, tell me what inspired you to make a non alcoholic wine? I'm very intrigued by this.
Oh, well, thank you, Dr. Melinda. It's been an ongoing kind of long journey from first creating just an alternative to alcohol. Originally started with beer, and beer was very easy to dealcoholize and give people an option. I felt that the near beer that was out there just didn't cut it, and had a lot of people that I were worked with and were associated with that just alcohol didn't work for them. So I never saw many alternatives, and then just progressed into learning more of the food science and bringing it to wine and creating an option. And while traveling in Europe, I just saw a trend over there over the last few years of more and more people really enjoying a delicious full body alcohol free wine and enjoying all the aspects of the wine without all of the negative aspects of the alcohol. And
So,
then,
does that mean no carbs?
well, you take out the alcohol, you take out all the carbs, the calories, and the sugars associated with the alcohol. And as you know, in nutrition, sugars associated with alcohol are just a much harder to break down for our body. And for some people, it doesn't work at all for them. People that have Asian descent, they're not able to break down the sugars as well, so they get that. We call it the Asian glow, so there's a lot of things with alcohol, and then alcohol is just it's a bit of an obsessive drug that's been around for a long time, and unfortunately is very accepted. And I just looked for alternatives. Originally, we were doing it with cannabis, and then as the CBD world became more and more apparent, as I learned more and more about the plants and the medical side of it, and not looking as much for just a replacement for alcohol to have a head change, looking at that you could get some medical, some relaxation, as well as still a delicious wine that brought you a really interesting effect to it.
What made you decide to add the CBD, and how difficult was that to do?
As technology got better, originally working with some of the brewing techniques we were doing with beer, we were actually brewing cannabis and like
Mm.
hops. And at that time, CBD hadn't really been a big push. It hadn't been as popular. As it became more popular, we found that the processes that were used to process to make some of the extracts for it were very much the same for cannabis as they were for CBD. And then again, like I said, the cannabis side has its one side to it, but the CBD side really has a very medical healing and has a lot of properties, as we're seeing. Like they say, the two plants that could save the world is hemp and bamboo right now. Those
Right.
you can really replace most industrial plastics and everything else with just those two plants. So the hemp plant is phenomenal. The 2017 Farm Bill legalizing it for use in the United States and commerce and being able to ship it around the world opened up the opportunity for us to make a hemp extracted CBD from the hemp oils. And then as new technology evolved, we continue to evolve with it as well.
And how does that different from the THC part of the plant? Because people get confused when they say THC is also part of the marijuana plant. Um, can you can you kind of explain the difference?
Yeah, each hemp plant is it's almost like a male and female if you think about it, and it's not quite that distinct. But in the marijuana plant itself grows. If it goes to a female state, you can then have that genetic that goes and creates a lot more THC. Every marijuana plant has a different genetic code to it, much like a corn or an apple or anything else. So certain ones are going to be high in THC, certain ones are going to be high in CBD. Hemp, though, doesn't have the THC qualities to it. So it has to be less than 3% or 4%, I can't remember in Europe and in the United States, THC to be considered legal hemp and not and be able to be transported and used. So it doesn't have any psychoactive aspects to it, but it has all the other cannabinoids in it. our system has a human cannabinoid system, much like our pulmonary system or our vascular system, and that is addressed with the hemp product, with the CBD, the CBG, the CBN, the CBA, all the cannabinoids that they're finding in that hemp product, and that's why people are finding a lot of relief from CBD. And
Well, the cannabis plant has been cultivated for medicinal um, purposes dating back to ancient times.
mhm,
There's actually 80 different chemically known cannabinoids in the hemp plant. The number one, the most abundant, is the tetrahydrocannabinol, the
mhm,
THC, which I
yeah,
have a hard time saying.
yeah,
And then the second most common one is the CBD, which is the cannabidinol.
yeah,
And that one does not have any psychoactive substance, like you said.
yeah.
When you actually paired it with the wine, did you still get the benefit of why people drink wine? To relax, to feel better, to decrease anxiety? Because there's a lot of research that shows that the CBD can reduce anxiety.
Mhm,
And during this time, it's with COVID anxiety, which is a real thing.
yeah.
There's alcohol consumption went up 25%. So if I'm offering people a non-alcoholic wine, are they still gonna get those benefits because of the CBD?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. If someone's drinking a bottle of wine to get drunk and get out of their head completely, CBD is not going to get you intoxicated. CBD doesn't have any psychoactive effects to it. It's not going to get you high in any way. But CBD will relax you. I drink the red wines with the CBD in it at night, and it's a really relaxing way to end your day. When we remove that alcohol, we remove those complex carbohydrates, the
Mhm.
calories, the sugars, so it's so much healthier. But the red wine blends that are used keeps all those resveratrol, all those antioxidants, all that goodness of the wine that you're getting. And then, yes, with the CBD, now you're getting a relaxation from it, less stress. A lot of people find it's very, very good for anxiety. For me, it really helps with sleep. I mean, just tremendously, tremendously helps with sleep. And that, to me, is the biggest benefit of it.
I
uh,
love, love, love that it helps with sleep.
that's just
Oh
it
my
changed
god,
my
it's
life.
amazing.
We need sleep as much as people think they can run hot. I need that 6 hours of sleep at night. That's good, solid sleep. And so the CBD for me has been just amazing.
Well, sleep is so underrated, and I will tell you that when people actually don't get enough sleep, they actually cut their lifespan. So studies have shown if you sleep less than 5.5 hours a night, or you have broken sleep, you actually may live up to 8 years less.
I believe it.
So it does affect longevity. So I love help people, to sleep. And, they don't call it beauty sleep for nothing, right, girls? That's when we rejuvenate, right? That's when
Yeah.
we make our
And
own hormones, and that's when we feel better. And actually, if you don't get a good night's sleep, you're not gonna be able to keep those memories or what you learned that day.
hmm,
People are not gonna process what they learn if they can't sleep through the night. So I remember, uh, giving, this is gonna be a good segue for our wine that I have called Calm a Bitch Down. Look at that. How do you like that? We're gonna drink some
yeah,
Calm a Bitch Down. Can you guys see this? I designed this label. Isn't it so pretty? And I'm not allowed to put CBD on the bottle, but I could put it in the label and say that it's hemp infused, which it is, hemp infused, and it's very quite delicious. We're gonna drink some at the end of this, but what I wanted to say is that I gave this to my sister-in-law who has a teenage son who had trouble sleeping, and because it doesn't have alcohol in it, and he was a little bit anxious, she actually had him have some, let him just a little bit, and she told me that he had the best sleep of his, like, recent life, like, he couldn't even remember when he slept that well, and I thought,
well,
"Wow." I didn't realize that it was gonna help with sleep, and for me, I love, love, love that. So, I wanna talk about other CBD benefits that you think. What else besides sleep and anxiety do you
You know,
see?
people are using it for a lot of things. It's shown to be a really strong anti-inflammatory.
Mhm.
And so, in an anti-inflammatory format, they're even doing tested with COVID patients right now with CBD. So
Oh,
there's a
wow.
lot of really amazing, properties and benefits to it. The biggest issue is the quality of the CBD that people are getting and the transport system that they're using to get it into their system. There's a lot of CBD out there, and stuff comes from all over the place. The federal government hasn't really regulated it and hasn't stepped in. So it's a wild, wild west out there. And there's not a lot going on in a lot of companies that you can really, I guess, 100% bank on. There's stuff coming from China and all kinds of stuff. So you really need to do a little research. We source all of our hemp
Mhm.
plants from the same farm in Oregon. Because you're able now with genetics to find those strains that aren't as high in the THC and are higher in the CBD and have the other molecules, you then start actually genetically using and then continuing to breed these together to find and get to that right strain that you want. So we have a plant that we use clones of. So we get the exact same plant every single time it gets turned over. And that plant's very high in CBG, CBN, and CBA, which are other cannabinoids very important in CBD. We
Can
also
you
use
can you talk about that? Because I know that there's a difference, and because right now you're talking about full spectrum CBD, which
almost full
might not.
spectrum. Full
Yeah.
spectrum would have THC too.
Okay.
So you can't have THC, but we call it broad spectrum.
Okay.
So broad spectrum, and then what happens is a lot of companies are only using what's called a distillate or an isolate to make their products that are CBD. What that is they're either distilling it down, the hemp down to just that molecule, just that CBD molecule, or they're just isolating just that CBD molecule and removing it from it. That, yes, has an effect, but it doesn't have the same effect that we call the entourage effect when you put together all of those cannabinoids that are naturally occur in the plant and have created, we find, a big, big difference in people's, like I said, sleep and anxiety and mood and other things. So by taking that, another huge issue that people don't understand either is that a lot of people extract from cannabis and from hemp using solvents. So a solvent-based extraction changes the molecular structure of the molecules itself. So if somebody's using an alcohol or they're using butane or all these other terrible ways to extract it, they're actually changing the molecular structure of that CBD before it gets put into that isolate or that distillate. We cryogenically freeze that plant before it's even pulled out of its roots itself, which keeps all of its aromas, all of its flavonoids, all of the rest of the particles in it. Then we only use a very, very crude method of using CO2 to do our first level of extraction. From that, then we take it through to another whole process where we nano emulsify it. And that's a whole nother bird. But to have the CBD in an oil format, which is how most people get a
Mhm.
tincture, a gummy, other things like that, it has to go through your whole digestive system. And it ends up going through our liver, which is the best filter in the world. Our liver can filter out over 65% of that CBD before it ever gets into your blood system. And that's why we went with the nano emulsion technology, where we use those same molecules and we use sound waves to pulverize them into nanoparticles. And then we encapsulate them and put them into a water soluble format that will stay in solution that absorbs in your tongue and your esophagus, your stomach lining, and it's intercellular, which is much more bioavailable and a much higher concentration. So that bottle of Calm a Bitch Down is only 30 milligrams of nanoemulsion CBD, but has a 3 to 5 times the bioavailability of a gummy or a tincture that will take 2 hours to get into your system, where that comes on, as you know, in 10 minutes. It's beautiful.
So when you look at a bottle of CBD, how can you tell that it's going to have that high quality? Is it going to say nanotechnology on it? Is it going to say what is it? What are the keywords that you're looking for to know that you're buying the CBD that is going to be more bioavailable?
Well, anything that you buy, any CBD you buy, obviously always check out the brand and the company. Go with some of the big guys that are out there if you're buying creams or stuff. But if you're taking a tincture or you're eating a gummy or you're taking some type of other edible format and it's in an oil, that's going to go through that same process. you'd have to get it in a water soluble nano emulsion, and there's not many companies out there doing it. There's very, very few that have nanotechnology CBD on the market out there, and nobody has it in wine other than what we're producing right now. So as it still is in its infancy, I think it will grow more and more. We're seeing more people come out with new products all the time. So we've got a whole pet line that we've created. So I mean, there's all kinds of stuff and possibilities for the nano emulsion water soluble capabilities. I believe it's the best vehicle for transporting that into our body. It's the most effective. It's the quick onset. It also doesn't sit in your fat cells. Anything oil based, as you know, will sit in the fat cells and takes time to get out, and you can feel maybe sluggish from it or anything. The nano emulsion technology is a quick onset. It does what it's supposed to, and then it gets out of your system. And if you need to, you take more, much like another medication. But it's natural, it's delicious, and it's a great alternative for people that are maybe taking aspirins and other things for aches and pains and anxiety medications
And
or
that's another thing that I know that the CBD has really good benefits with pain
yeah.
and controlling pain. And I've heard that there's even a use for it to helping people to get off of opiates and other painkillers that might be addictive. So I know that there's really, good research that shows that it can help with the chronic pain. Have you ever heard of anybody being addicted to CBD?
Um, I guess probably you could get psychologically. I probably
Mhm.
am because I really go to it. It's my go-to.
Mhm.
It's something that helps take me down a notch when I need to. It's relaxing. It does help, like you say, with the aches and pains. But for me, more than anything else, for sleeping. So instead of taking some type of sleep aids or anything else like that, it's been a go-to for a long time. So I wouldn't say that you can get physically addicted to it, but I do enjoy it. And if I don't have it, I'm traveling or something else like that, and I forget, I'm like, oh, I miss it. And but no, there's no addictive. What it has helped a lot, and especially in the wine format, is there's a lot of people battling with alcohol.
Right.
Many reasons. There's a lot of people that can't drink just for medical reasons because of the sugars and stuff, diabetes and other stuff. But there's a lot of people, and we see it in the cannabis industry, and that a lot of people are using cannabis as a way to self-medicate to get out of cannabis. But that's, I mean, to get out of alcohol. But it's kind of switching one for the other because it's still psychoactive. And when they can take you on to the CBD and find that they get the same relaxation, they have that same oral fixation of being able to drink something, and it works for them on that same kind of routine that they were in. It really helps break the cycle. And for alcoholism, that's a huge win if you can help people break that cycle and come up with a healthier way to live.
And do you see that there aren't any going to be physical withdrawal symptoms, right? If you're taking CBD and then all of a sudden you don't have access to it or anything, like people who are taking the narcotics or alcohol, right? You're not going to see anybody have
I
um
don't think it goes negative. I think you're going to go back to par. so, so if your knee's been bothering you and you take CBD and you're feeling really good, and then you stop taking CBD, it's not going to also be really bad. It's probably going to be right back to where it is. But no, I haven't noticed any of that. But the neat thing is it is getting more and more accepted. I think people are becoming more and more educated, and we're looking for more and more fun ways to be able to get it. So. The days of having to now you can go to dispensaries. There's now CBD stores.
Mhm.
There's online stuff out there. There's really good brands that have been out there. Brands like Papa's and Barclays that are medically grade type products. So there's a lot of alternatives for people, and we just really my goal again is to make that alternative for alcohol. And then maybe years from now there'll be people that say, look, there's I can either have a alcohol based drink, I can have a hemp based drink, or I can have a cannabis based drink, and they'll have a choice. And that's great because right now there's really no choice. You got
You know,
near beer.
I love that there's choices. We live in America where people love choices. And what I really love is that you were able to create a delicious product that didn't have alcohol in it, but
Mhm.
it was still able to get that feeling of relaxation and, just calming down. And that's why I love my drink, the Calm a Bitch Down. If you are interested, you can look on Sassy Wines, SASY wines.com, and we have it. It's been sold out, but I think we were able to get some, right? Were
You
we
got
able
more
to?
coming. You got more
Yeah,
coming.
we have more coming. And actually, I feel like I want to have some. You want to
Let
have some with me?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
have a glass.
let's have some. I think you should get your glass. I have my Sassy wine glass. You see that?
Oh, how come I didn't get one of those for Christmas?
I know. We have to put you on the well, I think you're a naughty boy. You have to be a
Yeah.
good boy to
Oh,
get
is that what it is?
yeah. Since there's no alcohol in this, I could drink a lot. And one serving, right, of the wine is only 35 calories,
Yep.
right? And there's no alcohol because
No.
I've been known to being a Filipino background, I cannot drink that much. So I am what they call a one drink girl. So it has to be really good.
There you
But for
go.
something like this, I don't even have to worry about it because there's no alcohol. So I'm not
Yep.
even going to have any issue with drinking it. So I want to, can we toast you? I know it's kind of
Yes.
weird because you're in a
Cheers.
different.
Ready? You know how to do it, right? Cheers. Here
How do I do it? I go like this.
we go. Can you
There
get a
you
fine
go.
microphone? Boom. There we go.
Boom. There you go. Boom. Let's taste this wine. Mm. And it's actually happy hour right now.
There you go.
I love it. It's so delicious. It's refreshing. It's crisp. It's a
So some of this
sangria.
now, it's a Southern sangria.
Mhm,
It's a
mhm,
really delicious kind of medley of three different grapes.
mhm,
It has some Mediterranean fruits and some cinnamons in it. I think, probably the most. Why
mm.
it works for everyone is because it's sparkling. It's a great substitute for those sugary fruit drinks, and any kind of sodas or anything else like that. And at the same time, that you get this delicious, all the benefits of the wine,
No alcohol and 35 calories per serving. It's crazy, right?
and
And
really
then
good.
you feel like you're celebrating, right? Because we use wine to celebrate. We use wine on special occasions. So it's really nice to have something to go to for people that can't really drink or choose not to drink. I love that you've given people an alternative, that choice. And I really hope it really catches on. I'm glad to know that they're doing that in Europe. I had no idea that they were doing that.
Well, if you see some of the trends are coming
Mhm,
over. Originally, we had O'Doul's was the only beer here. Then last year, Heineken released Heineken 0.0. Now all of a sudden, Beck's has a 0.0, and then Budweiser puts a 0.0 commercial on the Super Bowl. So the trends of alcohol
mhm,
free, if it's sober October or any of these other little trends, they're becoming bigger and bigger. And when you all of a sudden give someone an alternative, and it's healthier and it's better, but it still kind of fits that void, a lot of times, like you said, once they try it, it's like, well, why drink?
right.
I feel better. I don't have a hangover when I get up in the morning. I feel great. I feel refreshed. I get a great night's sleep.
Mhm, that's nice. And for that, I'm going to toast you, my friend.
Oh,
There you
thank
go.
you.
For coming on our
Cheers,
show
Doreen.
today. No, I'm so very happy that you're able to join us today. And that's going to be the end of our show today. I want to thank all of you for listening in. I'd like to take a moment to thank our show sponsors, Attorney King, Sequan Casino and Resort, Indian Motorcycle of San Diego, and the gym. And this is Dr. Melinda Silva for IQ Pass Podcast signing off. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
Cheers.